All right, you got to check this out. My fellow, cyclists and drivers out there and whoever. So we're having this big argument on the Scarlett Road bike lanes at the cycle tracks because drivers continue to mount up the barriers with their cars. Of course, these are the barriers. They're not the barriers that are designed to actually be run into by drivers and have the safest results possible. We already engineered those barriers. They're called Jersey barriers. They're like the ones that we actually use on roads where we want to keep the drivers on the roads, and drivers tend to do pretty well with them. These are the barriers that they're engineered so when you smash into the side of them, you just bounce off them instead of mounting them up. Unlike the ones that are causing trouble on Scarlett, which they're a little bit camouflaged because of all these patterns that they put in to make them visible. Because they're always telling cyclists oh, you shouldn't dress in all black. You should have a whole bunch of reflective stuff on you. But the result is actually we get camouflaged. So people think they know what makes things visible and apparent to each other, and they're wrong. But anyway, that's not what this is about. This is about all of the amazing alternate side street routes that cyclists should be using and could be using and have been using this whole time instead of Scarlett. And this is why having anything for cyclists on Scarlett is just so unnecessary, because nobody's ever going to use it. You don't need to use it. So there's all these people, just a surprising number of people, showing up to claim that cyclists should be just using the side streets anyway. We're talking about how, we don't need anything on Scarlett because the Humber River cycling path is so good, as if that's an alternative. But anyway, let's just talk about the route that you would need to take to avoid using Scarlett Road for the length of where the cycle tracks are. And I'm going to do it in both directions just to accommodate with whatever kind of one-way side street maze type of things we might have to do. So I'm going to make this comparison. So using Scarlett Road to do a round trip takes 24 minutes, takes 6 kilometers, and involves 30 meters of climbing. All right, just remember that. 24 minutes, 6 kilometers, 30 meters of climbing, okay? So let's see what all the beautiful available side street routes are for doing this. I mean, you can't really cross through Smythe Park at all. So to get around Smythe Park, you actually have to use Jane, except Jane, it doesn't really accommodate cyclists, so you'd want to detour all the way over to Rockcliffe, and then so this basically would be your trip, because this part of Jane is also driver exclusive. You wouldn't really be able to use Eglinton. You'd have to do this, and then but except if you're trying to avoid Scarlett, then that doesn't work. So let's see, avoiding Scarlett and avoiding Jane, to get into that area, you'd actually have to go through this whole neighborhood, cross over here, and then take, I guess, these side streets. And I don't know, this part of this road is pretty sketchy for cyclists, so you'd probably want to do this instead. Take, it won't let me plot a route through that. Well, whatever, just imagine that the route goes through here instead. This is like a gravel path, so it's not really usable for like half of the year. It's no good. But the rest of this route does work. It does check out. I've done it. So I'll just see if it works going in the opposite direction here. It doesn't really... Okay. let's, here's the other version of the route. You could do this, and go through that part of Eglinton Flats. Actually, yeah, that's a much... Okay. Clearly this is the actual route that we're talking about. This whole crazy detour is, I don't know why I thought of that. It's I've had my coffee. I've no excuse. I've already had my coffee. But anyway, so this is the awesome side street route that apparently makes... oh no, I know why I plotted that all over there. It was because... No, yeah, okay, all right. So this is the awesome side street route that makes Scarlett Road not need any cycling space interventions at all. It's 48 minutes long, so that's, over double the amount of time, or double. 11 kilometers, almost double the distance, and about 80 meters of climbing, so that's over twice the amount of climbing. So this is the side street route that allows cyclists to avoid Scarlett. All right, so let's talk about the Humber Path as your other alternative. So we'll do the same route. Of course, if you examine different routes, the results, are obviously going to be different, but I'm just sticking to like the beginning and end of the Scarlett Road cycle tracks, just as my arbitrary measurement for this. All right, so using the Humber Path, it's so pleasant. The Humber Path is great, very beautiful. I mean, for 6 months of the year, it's not maintained, so it's not usable in the wintertime. So all these people are saying, basically, like, you want to be using this side street route that is 3 times as long, takes twice the amount of time to do, and has 3 times the amount of climbing. Or, for half of the year, you could do this other route where you're doing twice the amount of climbing. It's not that much extra time, half hour instead of 20 minutes, so it's 50% more time. 8 kilometers, so it's, I guess, 30% more distance, and you just can't do it for half of the year. So actual real people want to pretend that these two other routes make Scarlett Road unnecessary for cyclists to use. Real people who want those cycle tracks gone. Like, she's okay. All right. I'm real worried. I'm so concerned about all these people. And their opposition. I'm shaking on my pedals, guys. We might lose this cycle track. Oh no! Like, no. The thing is, the city does not, like, they do consultation. They pay attention to the feedback, but they no longer just see a bunch of objections and say, "Oh shit, we're not ready for this. We shouldn't do this." They actually look through the objections and see and see if there's anything in there that they need to think about. And so if they get a whole bunch of objections and they realize that all of them are bullshit, then they disregard the bullshit. This is what happened with the Yonge Street cycle tracks. They got a whole bunch of objections. None of the objections were substantial. And it's really because the people who were bringing forth the objections weren't trying to bring forth something substantial, because they just thought they could get the cycle tracks removed just by saying anything. Like, they're the type of people who think they can go into City Hall and be like, this cycle track is bad because Legos. The cycle track is bad because I lost my cell phone last year. They think they can say anything to get some cycle track removed. They don't think it needs to make sense. They're not trying to make any sense. They don't believe what they're saying. So why should we? Losers.